Beginning of audio 1 of 7. Hello, this is Guillermo Luna, Chairman's Club member. This audio was made thanks to the support of dozens of President's team members in the year 2004. And now we have done a current edition in 2013. I ask you that you forgive us for any technical shortcoming because we're not experts in technology, but we are in the Herbalife subject. And we have done this as a tribute to the founder of Herbalife, Mark Hughes, whose voice we would like you to listen to right now so that you feel the passion with which Mark spoke to his distributors. Let's listen to Mark for a few minutes.
It's not important where I'm at right now. It's where I can be in the future that's important.
We are stronger than before. We can touch the sky. One vision, one world.
Hey, we got the best company in the world. We are the ones. We got the products. We got the leadership. We are the most unbelievable people. We're simply the best.
Nothing's gonna stop us now.
Trust me, I can tell you with absolute sincerity, anything is possible if you just keep using, where, and talking, and do it over and over and over and over and over again. The wildest dreams you've ever thought of can come true in Herbalife.
We can touch the sky. This is our time. Our life has only just begun.
Hello, we would like to congratulate you on becoming a Herbalife distributor. This training was done in order to help you to get started in your business. It is very important that you listen to all of this material until the end, and that you make sure that every new distributor in your group listens to it as well. Besides this training, that's a basic training, it's recommended that you listen to Jim Rohn's training and that you watch the training videos that are available in your country and in the video library of HBN on the internet. If you follow these very few but very powerful recommendations, and you are able to get each one of your distributors in your organization to do the same thing, you will have in your hands a prosperous business and a very simple to duplicate business. And in the duplication is success in Herbalife. First, let's see a key concept in this business: how we make money in Herbalife. It's as simple as this. You make money doing two different activities. The first one consists of getting satisfied customers, and the second is to have distributors who get satisfied customers. Once you have learned these two activities, there's a third activity that consists of teaching your group of distributors those first two activities. Once you are at that point, the money will start to flow in an incredible way. My name is Guillermo Luna. I am from Venezuela. I am 36 years old, and I met Herbalife at the age of 22 in 1992, while I was studying medicine at the Universidad Central de Venezuela University in Caracas. I had a one-year-old baby, and my economic situation every day was worse, at the point where I had to suppress 1, 2, and even the 3 meals a day in order to save some money to buy milk or diapers. As a student, it was quite difficult for me to find a traditional job, a full-time job, or even a half-time job. And I subsisted with the help of relatives and giving math and chemistry classes to high school students. The classes were very unstable and I didn't have a lot of students. So I started selling cosmetics and clothing, but it was a failure. At that moment, which was so critical in my life, the semester vacation started, and I found a job as a paramedic in a children's camp, where they offered me $150 in 15 days, and all of the meals included. Now it sounds like a joke, but the thing that most motivated at the job was that they were going to give me 4 meals a day. It was in that camp that I met Alejandro Rivielo, who is currently one of the leaders, who is the most important people in Herbalife in Latin America, and he has the position of Senior Executive President's Team 20K. Alejandro had been doing Herbalife for about 6 months, and he was really excited. He spoke with everybody about how well he was doing and the things that he had bought, and that he was going to make so much money. Besides, he showed his $800 check that he had earned the month before. Just meeting me, he offered the business to me, and I told him that I was not interested, because I was not good for sales. But the truth is that I told him I was not interested because I was very afraid of failing at something I didn't know. Also, I was a little bit upset that he was doing so well and that I was doing so badly. This is the typical thinking of somebody who, like me at that moment, is immature and is affected by the success of other people. A few days in the camp went by, and in my head, I kept turning around with the idea of Herbalife, so I dared to ask Alejandro about the business. He spoke to me for longer than 2 hours with an indescribable excitement. He showed me his $800 check. That, for me, was a lot of money, because with $300 more than usual, every month I would have solved most of my economic problems. I asked him, I said, Alejandro, how do you sell the products to people? And he said to me, literally, with these words, "Look, Guillermo, my mom lost 16 kilos in 3 months, and all of my mother's friends and the people who know her ask her what she has done to lose weight. She tells them that she took Herbalife and that I sell the products, and that I will be very happy to explain. Some of them come to my house, some call me, and some others I visit. Some buy and some don't. But the ones who do buy bring me more customers after 1 week. My goal is to sell 1 per day, and I know I'm going to achieve that." At that point, I was even more disconcerted, and I said, "When we get to Caracas, you will take me to that company so that I can start selling those products." You're not going to believe this, but Alejandro took 2 weeks in taking me after ending the camp. He always had some excuse for not going with me. I had to go find him at home so that we would go together to the meeting. We got to the office of his sponsor, who is Fernando Nani Rancel, who is one of the most important distributors in the whole world, and who currently is International Senior Executive President's Team 20K. Nani Rancel is a person who is positive and has a lot of energy, and he accepted me very gently. He showed me a video in English with subtitles in Spanish that described the company. He told me about the marketing plan, and the truth is that I was quite excited until he spoke to me about the registration kit. My head in that moment could not understand that this was a business and that I had to make a small investment in order to get started. What I was looking for was a job where they would pay me a salary, and Herbalife was a business opportunity as an independent that changed my expectations. And even though it's hard to believe at that moment, I thought that this was not for me. I was quite afraid of risking $120, which is the cost of the registration kit at that time. That was 1992. 2 years later, Alejandro confessed that he did not want to take me to the meeting with Herbalife because he knew that I did not have the money to get registered, and he was a little bit remorseful of the possibility that maybe I wouldn't do well. Based on that, I will give you an advice. Do not prejudge anybody. Talk to anybody and everybody, because this is an opportunity that's very valuable. And even though you're new, and if you don't have all the trust in the product and the business, do not miss the opportunity of offering Herbalife to everybody you talk to. Anyway, going on with the story. I left the office of Nani Rancel a little bit upset. When I got home, I called Alejandro to complain to him about the fact that you had to buy a $120 kit and that I didn't have that kind of money. I asked him to lend it to me and that I would give it back to him as soon as I got a sale. That's when I got my first business lesson in Herbalife. He said to me, "Guillermo, we all have to start by buying the registration kit, and you cannot ask for the money to your sponsor." I insisted, and I said, "But you make so much money. Lend me the money, and I'll give it back to you with my first sales." He said, "No again." That's when I told him, "Fine, if you don't lend me the money, I'm not going to get started." There was silence, and inside of me, I expected him to tell me something like, "Well, Guillermo, it's okay, I'll give it to you," but no. He gave me a phrase that changed my life forever. "Do not join." That's when the conversation ended, and I was quite upset that I couldn't join because I didn't have the money. It took me 2 days to make the decision, and I dared to ask for $40 to 3 different friends to buy the kit. That night, I read all of the information that came inside. The next day, I tried to sell. I spoke to one of my co-workers at the university for 3 hours, and she didn't buy the product. On the next day, I did the same thing with another girlfriend, and nothing. After 4 days, I had not sold anything, and I felt that I had worked quite a bit. Well, in reality, I had made 2 typical mistakes of the new distributor. Mistake number 1. I thought that I had worked quite a bit, but in reality, I had only spoken to 3 people for more than 3 hours. At the beginning, to sell, you have to talk to 4 to 7 people, and I had only spoken to 3. And mistake number 2 is that people do not buy the product because of how much you talk, but because they see a result, and I had not taken the product myself, and I couldn't answer the questions, the most typical questions that people ask. Does it taste well? Will I feel hungry? Does it have side effects? How much weight am I going to lose? And who has lost weight with this? And the worst part of this is that I got to lie by telling them that I was taking the product and that it was amazing for the appetite. Here you can learn another lesson. People want sincerity with who they speak. If you are not convinced of the product, you will not transmit the trust that a future customer needs to perceive from you. When you do not take the product, it shows in your eyes. Alejandro and Nani insisted that I should take the product, but I didn't want to. And as a matter of fact, my idea was to sell the product that came inside the kit in order to recoup part of the money. After 1 week, I felt completely frustrated because I had not sold anything, and I still owed $120 to my friends. That's when something spectacular happened. My aunt called me and she says, "Listen, you're selling Herbalife, right?" "Yes," I said, not quite excited. She said, "Well, bring me a program tonight, please." I was in shock for a few seconds, and then I asked her, "You want a program? Because you know you have to pay for it, dear aunt." "Yes," she said, "bring it to me and I will give you the money here." I hung up and I went running to the Nani Rancel office and I asked him to lend me a program to sell it to my aunt. He said that in Herbalife, everything was done cash and that products were not lent or borrowed. You have to buy it first. I was upset that he didn't give me the product, but I couldn't do anything. And I went to my aunt and I asked her for the money in advance in order to go get the program for her. Thank goodness she gave me the money, and I went back to Nani, I paid him, and I kept the 25% of my profit. I went running to give my aunt the product, and I was very excited. The next day, my aunt called me quite early, and I was scared because I thought something had happened to her, and then I got another surprise. She told me that that evening, 2 girlfriends who were interested in the product were going to come by, and that I should go and explain it to them. I got there right on time. When I arrived, my aunt had the presentation ready for me, 1-hour presentation. When I started talking, one of them interrupted me and said, "Do not explain anything to us because we know that it works. Bring us, each one of us, a program of the same that your aunt bought." I was mute for a few seconds, and then a little shaky, I said to them, well, I don't have the product right now, but if you give me the money, tomorrow early I can bring it to you. They gave me the money, and early in the morning I went to Nani Rancel's office. I bought 2 programs, and then I kept my 25% again. I confess to you that for 3 days I was a little bit concerned about my aunt and her 2 friends because I thought, if it goes well, the same thing is going to happen to me as it happened to Alejandro, but if not, this is the end of that business. As an anecdote, I'll tell you that I asked God for each one of them and prayed that nothing happened to them, and thank goodness nothing happened, and they did very well, and that's how I started with my first customers. Now I would like to tell you why my aunt called me. It turns out that her neighbor had lost 5 kilos with Herbalife, and my aunt asked her, and that's why she called me. It was a result that motivated my aunt to buy. Just like her friends who didn't want to listen to my super explanation that I had prepared. They just bought because they also knew the neighbor of my aunt. This teaches you another very important thing in Herbalife. It's good to have a lot of satisfied customers from other distributors, because that increases the credibility of the product. When one is new, one tends to think that it's competition to have other distributors who are close by. But in reality, it's the contrary, because the business is immense, it's huge, and there's something for everybody. We will go deeper into this a little later. As the career manual says, I did follow-up to my 3 customers, and then I started taking the product myself, and I started acquiring some trust in the product, and I asked for references. This generated 7 customers thanks to my aunt and her friends. I got to have 25 customers in a bit more than a month, thanks to the fact that I kept asking for referrals. I had earned $615 without stopping my studies, and I couldn't believe it, because that amount, a doctor who was recently graduated couldn't make that kind of amount. You cannot imagine the feeling that I had and how thankful I was to Alejandro. The money is not the most important thing in life, but when you don't have money, believe me, it is quite important. Nothing can substitute money, and when you listen to Jim Rohn, we will go deeper into this subject. The second month, my income was $1,000 thanks to all the referrals that I had from the first customers. What was happening to me was, for all my friends, a dramatic change, because a few months before entering Herbalife, I had started having breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the free luncheon for students in the university, where you had to do a very long line, maybe more than an hour, and besides, the food wasn't that good, but I didn't have an option. As soon as I had some money, I stopped going to the free luncheon, and all of my friends noticed, because I started eating in the snack bar in the clinic of the hospital, where only doctors could go and the students who had the money. It was quite comfortable to eat there, because you didn't have to wait in line, and because the food was quality food. Then I bought some new clothes, medical equipment that I needed, and a few books. This generated interest in my friends, so much so that at the end of the classes, I stayed explaining to my students on the blackboard the marketing plan almost every day. Also, almost every day, I took one program to deliver to nurses, to fellow students, doctors, secretaries, etc. The third month, I became supervisor. I'll tell you later the details. And I also registered my first 3 distributors. I didn't understand very well how you made money by having distributors. But once I got my first check, I understood perfectly well. Each one of my distributors had earned between $200 and $400, and I received a wholesale profit check of $130. That's where my mind woke up. I took a simple calculation, and with 3 people, I made $130 extra. With 30 of them, I could make $1,300, and with 300, it would be $13,000. But this multi-level thing doesn't work quite like that. This grows in an exponential way. And the next month, thanks to my 3 friends who qualified as supervisors, I received a wholesale check of $960, plus the sale of the customers, which was a total of $1,800. At that moment, I thought that this might not last too long because it was too good to be true. At that moment, I only saw Herbalife as an extra income that would allow me to solve my financial problems while I finished my studies. I was excited by the idea of not having to think about the prices when I bought groceries, or being able to buy a car, even if it was a used car, and being able to rent a decent apartment. I also wanted to stop hiding during the birthdays of my friends or Christmas time because I didn't have money to buy them gifts. I only wanted to have enough money to have a moderately normal life. But Herbalife rewards much more than what you expect. In 1 year, I bought a car, I moved to a very nice part of town in Caracas, close to the university, and the thing that excites me the most of all this is that making a lot of money, you can do a lot of good in your community and to your country. The first 3 years in the business, I did them part-time, and then afterwards, full-time. I give thanks to God for giving me this opportunity, and I am 100% committed to taking it to more and more people every day. Believe it or not, making a lot of money, when you are not prepared for it, can stop you from growing as a person. That's why you have to cultivate yourself and develop new abilities. During several years, being a member of the president's team and making more than $10,000 every month, I got stagnant in my personal growth. little by little, you will start learning many good things in Herbalife. And one of them is to not work for the money, but for the people. Herbalife is like a college degree, and it has several subjects: sales, marketing plan, recruitment, follow-up, ethics, promotion, and others. Throughout this audio, we will develop every one of them. But before entering those subjects, we're going to establish a telephone contact with Fernando Nani Rancel. He is from Caracas, Venezuela, so that he can give us advice and several keys on how to get started. Hello, my friends. From Caracas, Venezuela, this is Fernando Nani Rancel. At this moment, you are probably starting out in exploring your registration kit, and I would like to tell you a little bit how I got to see and to start in this business. 15 years ago, I was on a professional quest trying to give answer to my personal questions that any young Latin American person has in our countries. Low salary, few opportunities in the job market. Having gone through a certain circle professionally and having tried different jobs in different companies, well, you didn't have to be bright to understand that I had to find a jump in my income. And for somebody like me, who comes from a family where there's 4 siblings, 3 of them are full of diplomas, people who are brilliant and educated, and I was the first exception to that rule, having flunked subjects in high school and only going to school in a tech school, which in our countries is almost a crime. So the task was not easy. However, I had a few opportunities. It was 1990. It was the time of the Italy World Cup. It was the time of the first Gulf War. And there was a kind of quest in the European countries of professionals who had some experience in specific areas. And to be honest, the areas were not my specialty. I went to school in management and marketing. However, without having a family, I took a suitcase, filled it with clothes, and I flew to Madrid. My English was not quite like William Shakespeare's, so my only alternative was to arrive to Spain. So I got to the apartment where my friend from Venezuela lived. She had already taken her suitcase, and she had already gone to find a job. And in this apartment, which we shared in the American way, European way, with 2 other people, I found the character who changed my life completely. This person, he was from Israel. He came from Israel. He didn't have professional experience, but he was very clear on the principles and the foundations of the business that I was going to meet by living with him in this apartment. While I was preparing my resumes and sending them to all the companies that theoretically might need my services, it was a very special experience because I learned each one of the principles in the business which we would like to talk to you about precisely there. From that experience in the living room, in the dining room, when this person, Michael Cole, when he made his first presentations, I even remember how he answered the phone and how he placed news ads in a country whose language he didn't understand. Not only did he not know anybody, but he couldn't speak to anybody. In these press ads, he put in English in a country where English is not #1 language, and it wasn't 15 years ago, obviously. And I saw how he treated people in a very professional manner on the phone, how he summoned to come to the meetings, and the process in which he started to have prospects at home, and how he did the presentations for the business, and he was able to give them a very clear picture of what at that moment was the company. And this was a moment when the company was only in 9 countries, and they made about $80 to $90 million, and at the moment I thought it was huge. So that I understood that it doesn't matter how long you've been there, the presentations and the conviction, the trust in what we are trying to do is very important when you do the presentation of our business. I saw how he contacted his first prospects who were going to become his customers, and even he would explain everything on the phone. He was able to leave all of the weight of the presentation on the results that he had achieved. As a tennis teacher, Michael in Israel, in his country, he had had a dramatic difference in his performance during the day. He had to teach 10-year-old kids and younger, and it was incredible how he was able to perform much better. So I saw how he was not trying to give incredible presentations. He left all of the weight precisely in the product. For somebody like me, who came to marketing, I had listened to this kind of philosophy only in theoretical books, where the marketing gurus spoke about a product and a company that was kind of a spine, fundamental spine in the product. But I knew that behind every company where I worked, in food, in cosmetics, in service, etc., where there was a lot of other things that helped the client to make the decision. So it was impactful to me for a person who had no experience and no education in sales professionally, was able to be so efficient in leaving all of the weight of the presentation on the value of the results of the product. And so I spoke to him, and he explained it with a passionate way, all the results that he had with his mother when she tried the product in Israel, and his brother, who got him involved in the business, and he used it in California. So the first principles and the first learning that I had in the business in Herbalife, I had them throughout this living together with him. So this helped me to understand the hard drive of my brain in the right way. So what Michael Cole has, a correct education to the distributor from the beginning, that's what I had. So that's the reason precisely why we would like, through these audio trainings, to help you make all the correct first steps and help you advance in the efficient and in the fast way in the business. That's why, undoubtedly, for me, it was basic to have results with the product. Being in Madrid, I lost a lot of weight, close to 13 kilos, some 28 pounds. And, well, you didn't have to be brilliant for a guy like me who had had few results in the traditional area. I could obviously understand that this was a kind of reflection for my friends and my acquaintances. And as soon as my sister knew that I had lost weight, immediately all of my siblings wanted to know the products. So when I was in Madrid, I decided to leave everything behind and go back to Venezuela. That's where the business started, which has now expanded throughout the continent. I have gone through the oceans. I have gone back to Europe again. It's wonderful to know that many people, thanks to this fantastic system that the company offers, can take these products not only through yourself directly, but also through the help of distributors that we will teach you how to attract and gather. So in this moment, you should have your registration kit in your hand. And with the registration kit, there are certain steps that we would like to help you make in the right way. So the first one is to understand immediately the fundamental importance of getting started in using the products personally. Some people have the tendency, and thank goodness very few of them, but they tend to skip this step before they develop some kind of organization. So we would like to correct this immediately in case you are part of that small group. Change your way of thinking. The immediate use of the product is the spine, the pillar that will guarantee your success in the business, not only in the first few months, when you are just now starting to speak the language that we would like to teach you, and when you start to understand the terminology, and we start to adapt the form of thinking in Herbalife the way Michael would say it brilliantly. We would like to make sure that immediately you will make a personal commitment to leave behind the previous paradigms, in case you have them, any influence that you might have with another business, and concentrate in becoming a fantastic student in order to follow these very important instructions. From now on, from today, you have to take the products that are in the registration kit and you have to start committedly to use them, all of them. So a little bit further in this audio training, you will have other details about the formula and a specific path to have impeccable use of the product. But first of all, you should write this down with me, and you should understand immediately that once you buy the registration kit, in order to offer, to guarantee your advance, impeccable advance in the business, you have to commit to the use of the product. Second, we need to make sure that you will open your career manual and that you open the registration kit and then you start going over all of the subjects. I have many good friends in Herbalife that I have earned through 15 years in the business. One of them confirms that, as an illustration of teaching the importance of the manual, that he doesn't answer questions that are in the career manual. Try to think that your sponsor right now, the person who has invited you to the business, is trying to understand whatever your commitment was. It has to be true. It has to become true once you've had your first conversation. The moment you signed, you are committing yourself to develop the activities in Herbalife in the proper way. One of them is not only to demonstrate, to declare your ability to be trainable and teachable. We also want you to open the career manual and to become immediately a new businessman with this new activity, with this new company that's going to follow you not only for the next few months, but next years. And that you start reading all of the basics, the principles, the history of the company, to start becoming really strong in each one of these subjects so that you can be able to be convinced of the premises that we are going to give you from the beginning. So now you're responsible of starting to send this message abroad. Third, we would like to make sure that you will start understanding that this kind of training, this audio training, and any other training you're going to have in your career manual as a supporting material is very important. The following is we would like to help you understand that once you leave the traditional market, just like in any other subject that humans touch every day, there might be something that in Herbalife we call opinion. Opinion is universal. You will understand that when you are meeting with friends and when you try to define for them what is the best soccer team or baseball team in your country. And it doesn't matter who has won, which are the important facts in the season. Everybody has an opinion. So this is a good way to reflect that activities that lend themselves to have opinions like politics, new businesses, unknown subjects, investments, etc. People would like to have some kind of position as the best opinion maker. But I would like to tell you immediately that to guarantee success and fast advance, you should concentrate yourself in something we call the facts. The facts denote that the company has been around for many years already in the market. It's a company that has an extraordinary record of behavior, first-rate corporate staff. We have not only been the youngest company in multi-level marketing, but it has a privileged position in this area. And the leaders that we have in our areas, in nutrition, in exercise, health, weight loss. So these facts are much more important, along with our annual revenues and the growth in every country, Spanish-speaking countries particularly, and the rest of the world. So that's much more important than the opinion in some cases. That I remember when I went back to Venezuela, my brother, who is an industrial engineer, he has an MBA in Stanford, California, and so he wanted to impress his little brother in terms of the opinion about business. He wanted to try to make some kind of analysis of the behavior of Herbalife in Latin America. Venezuela was going to be the first country under Mexico in getting started, which actually took place. And so for him was almost inevitable having to opine on this. So I remember at that moment the number of crazy things without knowing, because in traditional education, he was compelled to say things that didn't make any sense. But nowadays, of course, we laugh about this because he's one of the biggest supporters of my business. So now he recognizes that it was a mistake. But so let's not forget, we're going to teach you through the training, through this audio training, also through training that we have every month, every week for you. We will teach you how you can take advantage of the handling of opinions. The other thing we'd like to teach you right away is to open your business. And for that, remember that you are the owner of your own activity. You have the possibility of starting right away with all of your neighbors, acquaintances, and relatives, and do not have the temptation of wanting to contact everybody in the Philippines and the European community and everywhere when your neighbors don't even know that you're doing the business. So your personal experience, which has helped many of us through many years in the business, is that you should start with all your neighbors, acquaintances, relatives and friends. You have to recognize that your story still has to be relatively new if you just started with your registration kit. So it's possible that you may have been a customer with results. Maybe you have just started. So you can only give a personal result. In case you don't have the product, don't worry. And certainly in your registration kit, there's material available, and also in your warehouses, you have catalogs and testimonials. You have product testimonials, before and after pictures from people who already have fantastic results. So we have brochures, videos, audios, magazines of people who have had fantastic results already with the business. The income level, which they never ever in their traditional occupations would have had. So you will then have a gamut, a reflection of all the alternatives of possibilities. The student who just started, a housewife, or a sophisticated secretary, or somebody who is retired. It doesn't really matter who you are. Maybe you're a sports person, etc. You will have a story that immediately is going to be reflected in your personality and in your career. So one of the most important suggestions that I can make to you right away is to open your business just like traditional businesses do. Remember, just like Michael Cole would say, remember that now we're going to help you develop the art of employing yourself and to understand that your business, it's your own business, and you have incredible support, an incredible corporate staff with your sponsors, and an amazing organization. So definitely, if you're listening to this audio, you can count on all of them. People with great experience from everywhere, from every continent, even from any Spanish-speaking country. We will be able to help you, to give you a hand, coordinating where you can get the information so that little by little, you will become as independent as possible. And finally, in this first area of learning, which will guarantee your efficient start in the business, we suggest that immediately you research everything that's available about training locally, which might be available in your region, in your city, or in your country. I need to tell you that when I came back to Venezuela, the closest training that I had was in Los Angeles, California, and sometimes, occasionally, in Miami. I remember having started in the business and had people who started very quickly, even faster than me, like in the case of Guillermo Luna, who came with me to events in Miami, in the United States, when we had to spend all of the income that we had from our sales in the products. And you undoubtedly have a privilege today, because in every city, in every region, in every country of this continent, in every Spanish-speaking country in the world, we have training, professional training directed to helping you getting to the next level and increase your level of understanding in the basic subjects of the business. So, as a first part of this introduction process, I would try to make sure, if I were you, to know where the trainings and the meetings are, trainings with the academy, the university that are weekly available. You have to see where the Saturday trainings are, or maybe the weekend trainings that they have. The important thing here is that we have available a super professional training for you. Therefore, the next phase, we would call it, let's say, the second level, has to do with the area in the career manual that refers specifically to achieving the position of supervisor. So I ask you to pay special attention to understanding how we are evaluated in Herbalife. Go through this subject deeply and in detail. Any question that you may have in the manual, if you still have any questions, it's all there. But you have to understand how you are evaluated and how you go to the next stage, which gives you all of the benefits of Herbalife. Immediately you get them right away. So this second big point in this second phase has to do with knowing how to deal with the information. There's a lot of pages of information. There's a lot of systems, mailing, fax, and internet systems. You can use blackboards in your office, etc. And that's all going to help you confirm that you will know everything that's going on, and you will be organizing the information, because the next phase, the third one, let's say the third phase, has to do with guaranteeing that you will start attending regularly, managing your time in the proper way to all of these trainings, all of these seminars and business meetings, everything that we have designed to help you give shape to your marketing plan presentations, how to do evaluations, how to ask for referrals, how to break the ice with your friends, how to learn to laugh a little bit, not only of yourself, but of your lack of experience, and understanding that your presentation, your talent, your ability have a relatively small part in the presentation. It's the product, the stories, the testimonials, the evidence. That's what makes a difference. And that's the confirmation that people of any area, of any background, are having incredible results, because immediately you're going to have in your hands the task of qualifying in your group these new prospects that you're going to have with distributors with you who are going to become new distributors. Up until to this point, I would say this is, let's say, an overview, a basic overview of the first phase that you have to go through as a distributor that's starting out, without missing the fact that very soon, maybe in a few months, you are going to have your next important international big picture, which we would like to not stop you from being enthusiastic, and we don't want to fill you with information, but it's important for you to understand there's going to be very soon, maybe in your own country, a big meeting that's going to give you the possibility to confirm what we're telling you about the whole world. It's a wave in the Hispanic world. It's kind of like a piñata, to say it in terms that we understand in our countries. You'll have the ability to gather the biggest number of benefits, and you're going to be a winner right away. This is going to be an international showcase of everything. And finally, my friends, as an overview, very quickly, these would be the 10 commandments in Herbalife. It doesn't matter where the experience, the time, the trainings take you. I invite you with me to go over these fundamental concepts. First of all, confirm that the product is the center of the business. Do not get distracted to give any less weight to the products. Let it speak for you. Remember that you have to have a push on your part. Therefore, do not miss all the trainings that they have about the products that you're going to be listening in these special audio training. Second, the only activities of the distributors that's starting out and for the rest of his life are to get clients, to get customers through the presentations with the products and through the testimonials that the product is doing in themselves and in the people around them. This is a kind of treatment as long-term as possible, because you want to make sure that this presentation has results with residuals, so that this customer repeats the purchase with you, understanding the importance of getting connected with good nutrition. And the second activity with which they pay us is finding people who can do exactly the same thing, meaning to achieve more customers through them and to gather more people who are doing those two activities. So these are the two only activities that we have to do, and success in Herbalife will be guaranteed. Third, Herbalife is a business that we're going to teach you to maintain your customers as close to you as possible for as long as possible. Herbalife is a business not only of retaining and of teaching to your distributors to do the same thing you do. So we have to conclude that it's a business of teaching how to be duplicatable. But most of all, Herbalife is a business in which you must concentrate in the subject that depends on you. And that is substitution. It's a subject in which you need to speak permanently on you in a disciplined manner, and we're going to teach you how to design plans in which the time of the week is efficient. Now you can even do it part-time combined with your traditional activities. You can use this activity to find people every day. So you'll see that Herbalife is one of the few businesses in which you go out, and you do it when you go out, and you don't have to leave the house. You can do it with contacts of people you know, and you have a finite number of people you can contact. There's always a conversation that will take you to talk about health and weight loss and business opportunity or income. I have based my business through these 15 years in that. So concentrate yourself in understanding how simple it is to do the business this way. Fourth, if you want more results, you should increase your numbers. We're going to teach you how to put in practice different work tools and how to find prospects for customers and also prospects to become distributors. This is how you increase your numbers, and you will be more efficient your presentation will be shorter, and you will be able to close telling your story in the proper way. And finally, indicating to the person how they're going to get a registration kit and the flavors in which they're going to buy the program. This way, you're going to have much more results in your week, and your month is going to be more efficient. Fifth, this is something you may have heard and may have read about in many texts, and it's about people who are successful in any area. You have to learn to manage your attitude. My friends, this is something you're going to find as a common denominator in this business, is that wherever you go, wherever you get together, whoever you listen to in these audio trainings, you will understand that we all have a characteristic in common. It's their positive attitude permanently, and something that's permanently positive. You have to learn to behave this way at home, at the job, wherever, whatever you're doing, part-time, whatever. Try to give shape to this very important premise. Guarantees that everybody who does Herbalife does it simply. We don't make it sophisticated. One of the most complicated things in Herbalife is understanding how simple it is. It's so simple that we have the tendency to make it complicated. Don't worry, we're going to help you rectify and adopt, let's say, the instrument properly so that you make it work properly. Sixth, this has to do with the principles that I shared with you earlier. Do not take it personally. There are infinite opinions in the business, and we will teach you how to handle the opinions. But the important thing is that you should concentrate on the next prospect who wants to be part of this incredible project that's going around the world. Any person that definitely wants to commit with the use of the product, that wants to commit with the business, keep those people. Seventh, get in action. Develop a sense of urgency, because this is a big wave. This is a wave that's running throughout your city, throughout your region, and the Spanish-speaking world, my friends, is now the most privileged in this moment. The Americans, the Europeans, they are just sorry. In any activity in the world, they are sorry that they don't speak Spanish in order to be privileged the way you are right now. If you speak the language that we are sharing in these audio trainings, you already are a person that is in the position of being a winner. You are fortunate because right now you have a multi-million-dollar market with you. And with this incredible combination of these unique products in this fantastic company, in this extraordinary marketing plan, you're going to have, no doubt, the best years in their life. Number 8, remember, very importantly, each one of us becomes a messenger. And for that, you will have to remember throughout your career in Herbalife, you will have to remember that we are not the protagonists. We are just confirmation of the individuals. We are together. Anybody can do this. People from any background, from any location are confirming the premise that Herbalife is an opportunity for everybody. So, help us take this fantastic health, nutrition message and opportunity and freedom to the rest of the Spanish-speaking world that needs it so much. Number 9, and just to close, if there's any confusion, and if you ever feel that your presentation wasn't the best, if one day you feel that you're going to get started but you still don't know what to do, I suggest this. Go back to the basics. The basics in the business, and the basic number 1 and number 2. The product is the center of the business. Therefore, let it speak for you. That helps people open the mouth and explain the products, even for personal care. They will do the work for you. So that we confirm that you only have to concentrate on getting a new customer, a new distributor, and your work will flow by itself in an incredible manner. Get together with the right people and make sure your attitude allows you to recover yourself. You'll have many productive weeks in your career with Herbalife. And finally, I'm going to give you what I consider to be one of the most important suggestions that I have ever received in my Herbalife career. Once you have started, never leave the opportunity, my friends, to build absolute freedom financially and personally, and to achieve this hope that we have lost in the world, especially Spanish speakers, because of not finding opportunities that truly give our families what we want, what they deserve, without taking into account how much we work for them, is infinite. So we are the confirmation that if an individual like us could do it, definitely you can do it. I am sure that in the future, we're going to see each other again. I hope to be able to meet you in the next event, whether it's local, regional, in your city, or international. And I definitely would like to give you the warmest welcome. We need people like you. Welcome to Herbalife. I would like to stop for a second to give you my email address, info@guillermoluna.info. info@guillermoluna.info. You can also see information on my website, www.guillermoluna.info. www.guillermoluna.info. You can be in touch with me in Twitter through @GLunaHLF, @GLUNAHLF, or in my Facebook page, Guillermo Luna Herbalife. Go to Facebook and look for Guillermo Luna Herbalife and click on like. So let's start with the first part of the business in Herbalife. We're going to talk about the products. I would like to clarify that all of this information that we're going to see now, it's basically for you to have a clear idea of the type and the quality of the products that you will recommend. But not necessarily do you have to give all this information to the customers. They basically want to know whether the product works, whether it's safe, and how much it costs. All of these concepts have been extracted from the trainings and videos of the medical staff at Herbalife, which has the highest level scientists, even Nobel Prize winners, and with renowned doctors in the United States, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. Now we're going to define some important concepts that will help you understand better the cellular nutrition in Herbalife. First, I would like to distinguish between the words diet and nutrition. Diet. It refers to everything we consume to nourish ourselves every day. Diet can be balanced or unbalanced. Nutrition is a complex process that has several steps, which consists of giving the body all of the nutrients that it needs to function properly. The key organ in the nutritional process is the intestinal villi. The intestines are not a smooth tube, but microscopically, it has some tiny fingers that increase the surface of absorption. That's where the exchange happens for those nutrients to go through the blood and to distribute throughout the whole body. There are 4 phases in the nutritional process. 1, the ingestion, meaning what we eat. 2, the digestion. 3, the absorption. And 4, the assimilation. Assimilation also has an additional step, which is an innovation of Herbalife, which is called the cellular activation. There are defects in each one of those phases of nutrition. For example, in ingestion, we have different problems. Overcultivation. In 1950, the governments were concerned about the lack of food in a population that was growing exponentially. But thanks to the development of agriculture and intensive cattle growing, beef is achieved in record time and several harvests through the year, which makes the soil poorer. The problem is that the soil where the vegetables are grown and other fruits are overcultivated, over-fertilized, and they are not any longer able to contribute the nutrients that are important in those fruits and vegetables. Also, those fruits and vegetables are transported and they're processed, adding pesticides and chemicals. Some are frozen, and they are saturated with preservatives in order not to spoil. Then, when they get to our home, we prepare them. And in the cooking, we destroy a big part of the small amount of nutrients that was left. Another big defect in achieving the nutrition comes in the choice of the food. The fast-paced life in big cities, together with very well-done advertising, makes fast food part of the problem. Together with that, we see that portions that they serve in restaurants are even 300% bigger than 20 years ago, creating a situation of calorie consumption and carbohydrate and fat consumption that has never been seen before in humanity. As a second point, we have defects in the digestion, in the absorption, and the assimilation. The factors that affect us are basically the same ones. Number one, stress. It has been proven that people, when they suffer from stress, they diminish their ability to absorb and assimilate. It's not a secret that when people have big problems, they start losing weight. Food is a problem for them, or they get sick because of the bad nutrition. Or, on the other side, they get anxiety, they eat too much, and they get fat. Number two, diseases. From a simple cold to very specific diseases of the intestinal mucus, such as ulcerative colitis, affect the process of assimilation of the nutrients. Number three, medications. Painkillers, antibiotics, anti-allergens, antidepressants, and many other drugs diminish the absorption of nutrients. Number four, toxicity. When you ingest toxins, they act as a kind of cork for the intestinal villi and slow down the absorption of nutrients. Currently, there's a series of toxins that are being used as pesticides in agriculture called xenobiotics. They truly cannot be eliminated by the body, but only by ingesting big quantities of fiber. Besides, smog in the air is being swallowed every day by the people who live in the big cities and worsens the problem. Number five, poor nutrition. It affects the absorption because one intestinal cell that is weak does not have the capacity, the transporters, or the enzymes to absorb those nutrients. Number six, age. The older we are, the lower the capacity to absorb. But how serious is the problem? According to statistics by the WHO, World Health Organization, less than 2% of people in Western countries ingest a proper diet. The Western diet is full of what we call excesses and deficiencies. The main excesses are the following: saturated fats and cholesterol, refined sugars, flours, salt, calories, alcohol, and tobacco. And many times, we cannot avoid eating these things. For example, salt comes added to many of the foods that we prepare in our homes, in cans, in frozen foods, in the bread, and let's not even comment on the salt that comes in fast food, whose biggest danger is that children start eating them from a very young age. The seriousness of consuming excess of carbohydrates, saturated fats, and cholesterol is that those are the precursors of the atheromas, which are nothing but plugs of fat that obstruct the arteries. That's how heart attacks and strokes happen, among other things. We also have deficiencies. We have deficiencies of macronutrients, such as high-quality proteins, and a kind of fat that we call non-saturated fat, which is the fat that the body needs. Also, we, as well, have deficiencies in micronutrients, among which are the minerals, vitamins, oligoelements, antioxidants, and we have deficiencies of botanical factors, which scientifically are called phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are nothing else but herbs which strengthen the effect of vitamins and minerals and, therefore, increase your health. We also need fiber, which is a must in order to have a good gastrointestinal tract and impede colon cancer. We also require approximately 8 glasses of water a day. Now, what's the relationship between nutrition and the disease? It has been proven that nutritional imbalances cause disease related to bad nutrition. And there are certain statistics that are very important from the WHO, which say that 70% of world mortality, meaning of every 100 people, 70 people die of some of these three diseases. First, cardiovascular disease. The main of them is heart attacks. Imagine that every minute there are 3 heart attacks in the world, of which one person dies immediately and the other one dies a year later. The one that remains alive is a load, emotionally and financially, on her family. The second cause of death is cancer. And the third one is stroke and related conditions. It's no secret for anybody that a person with a diet that have excess of fat and sugar, who is overweight, and everything that we spoke about earlier, is prone to developing heart disease and diseases that have to do with circulation, without mentioning that there's a lot of chemicals that go into foods which bring the onset of cancer. They are called cancer-borne chemicals, which are in the foods that we least imagine. The most interesting thing about these WHO numbers is that another statistic says that of those 70 deaths, half of them, meaning 35%, would have been avoided with a good nutrition, meaning that 50% of all of those diseases that we just spoke about are directly related to the bad nutrition. An additional number is that 70% of medical visits have to do with nutritional problems, from headaches to arthritis, diabetes, gastrointestinal problems such as bad digestion and reflux, and many symptoms like fatigue and dizziness have to do with poor nutrition of those who suffer them. But if this has been proven scientifically, if most of people die because of their bad nutrition, wouldn't it be logical that just as they have campaigns against HIV and tobacco use, wouldn't there be campaigns against fat? It sounds a little silly, but it's not. What happens is that if you eat a huge hamburger with French fries today, and you have excesses and deficiencies, nothing is going to happen to you today, or tomorrow, or within a year. But it will cause damage if you keep doing it. One has to be alert, because this is a silent enemy. Besides, there are many big pharmaceutical companies and others in the field of health for whom it's not convenient that people take consciousness of this problem because they want them to stay sick, buying more and more medication throughout their lives. Now, let's talk about how one faces this problem medically. The traditional focus is curative. Treat the symptom and not the cause. It would be something like this. Imagine that you have a wound in an arm. A few days later, it's going to get infected. It will become red and hot, and possibly it'll become full of pus. There might be a fever and other discomforts. If a doctor comes and gives you a medication for headache and for fever, the cause that's creating the fever is not being eliminated with the drug for the headache. The doctor has to add an antibiotic in order for the infection to subside, and then the headache and the fever will disappear. That's exactly the same with nutritional imbalances. If you do not treat the cause, which is the deficiencies and the excesses, these will become worse. It's proven that disease starts at the cellular level. The cells are like small units through which our bodies are formed. We have trillions of cells, which daily we have to feed. Imagine if it's difficult to give water, electricity, and public services to a city of 2 million people. How would it not be hard to feed trillions and trillions of cells throughout our bodies? Which, by the way, a percentage of them also has to be renewed every day in order to maintain the body's health. So, how do we attack this problem? Making sure that the cells receive all of the nutrients in a balanced way every day. This sounds very easy, but without technology, it's practically impossible to achieve. That's why Herbalife is at the cutting edge of the solution of this big problem. Herbalife combines three sciences. The first one is high technology in foods. The company, until today, has been in the business for almost 26 years, doing research, and it has the support of scientists with great renown, some of which you will have the opportunity to meet in the international events. The second technology is the science of micronutrients, adding vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and oligoelements, which increase the nutrition of the person who consumes Herbalife. The third technology is the science of herbs, or phytonutrients, which are used as antioxidants, and they increase the effect of the other nutrients, improving your health. The result is, of course, the best program of nutrition in the world. Everything in the form of powder to make shakes, tablets, and drinks. In other words, all of the nutrients are compacted and presented in the form of shakes, tablets, and teas. This title of the best nutritional program in the world was not made up by Herbalife. It was given by countless studies from governments such as the Italian, the Swedish, the English, the Spanish government, the German government, Korea, Japan, Brazil, United States, among others, which publicly have recognized it. For some people, it sounded a little strange to complement their meals with shakes and tablets. But every time, it is more common for all of us to eat a nutritional preparation based on shakes and tablets. Herbalife designed in the 20th century the food of the 21st century. Let's go to another subject now. What can we do to build good health? First, we must do preventative checkups every year. It's very important to go see your doctor, and for women who are older than 35 and men older than 40, to go twice a year in order to make sure there is no problems with cancer of the uterus or of the prostate. Second, give the cells the nutrition that they need. For that, there is cellular nutrition. Third, handling of stress. Fourth, to moderate the consumption of alcohol. Fifth, eliminate the consumption of tobacco. And sixth, to add activities and daily exercise or every other day. How do we prove the quality of the Herbalife products? First, there is constant research. The company invests millions of dollars in developing new and better products. They do not save on research in order to have always the best. Second, they use ingredients of the best quality. These ingredients are bought worldwide, and they go through a quarantine at the customs in the United States, a second quarantine at the factory in Herbalife, and quality control in the different phases of production. Besides, there are checkups that are very rigorous that every government demands of the countries where Herbalife has operations, and countless regulations from each health department in each country, besides those in the United States, because it's the country of origin. And Herbalife has always complied by them. Remember that Herbalife is high-technology food, and it is not a medication. Now we're going to talk about the energy, to understand why it's possible to control your weight with Herbalife. A normal person needs between 1,700 and 2,000 calories per day in order to maintain their body weight. Naturally, there are variations from one individual to the next, and it depends on several factors, such as muscle mass, fat, height, and physical activity. But mainly, people can be described between 1,700 and 2,000 calories per day. These calories, which in reality are kilocalories, but to simplify we call them calories, They are a form of measuring energy, and the law of energy is infallible. If one person consumes more calories than what they need during a day, inevitably, they will accumulate them in the shape of fat. And if they consume less than what they need, then their body is going to use their fat reserves and will burn them, so to speak, to produce the calories it needs. For example, if you require 1,700 calories per day and you consume 2,400, 800 calories in every meal, you are going to gain weight inevitably. If you consume less, for example, 1,200, you will have a deficit of 500, which you're going to get out of your fat reserves, and therefore you're going to reduce your size and your weight. In other words, the energy balance in your body has to be maintained through the physical law of energy. Now, this consumption, or this daily burn of calories, has two components. The one we call base metabolism, which is the calories we consume when we are at rest, and the activity consumption. There's one more point that we should know. In order to lose or gain 1 kilo of fat, you have to burn or consume 7,000 calories, respectively. If you eat 3 meals, each of them 800 calories, and you only need 1,700, you're going to have an excess of 700 calories per day, and in 10 days you will have gained 1 kilo of fat. Likewise, to reduce them. If you eat 1,200 and you need 1,700, you will have a deficit of 500 per day, which causes that every 14 days you will lose 1 kilo of fat. That's why it's so hard to lose weight with diets. The combination of low calories of the Herbalife program and the herbs make this process much faster, being able to lose an average of 4 to 8 kilos per month. But don't get complicated with that. The most important thing is for you to understand that Herbalife is a program that is low calories and high nutrition. And it is not a magic medication to make you lean. It only works with the law of energy, which is infallible. Later, we will clarify a bit more this point. How do we achieve effective weight loss? Number 1, consume less calories than what the body needs. Number 2, decrease the consumption of fats and carbohydrates. And number 3, increase the consumption of energy, which is achieved basically with more physical activity. But most people do not do exercise. They say they don't have time or money to go to a gym. The company has developed a system called thermogenics, which allows you to increase the consumption of energy without having to increase physical activity. Of course, that if we combine nutrition, cellular nutrition with thermogenics, the energy balance will favor the elimination of fat excess, which the body has. Besides, thermogenics also favors the generation of calories to be directly from the fat, which helps reduce size quickly. A big advantage of being a Herbalife distributor is that you can have the time and the money to do exercise in a healthy way. Why does Herbalife Cellular Nutrition work to lose weight? Very simple. Every nutritional shake prepared with water has 80 calories. If it's prepared with fruit or lean milk, it's 160 calories. In order to lose weight, you substitute 2 of the 3 meals every day with 1 nutritional shake. This makes every shake, if we do it with fruit, it would have 160 calories. For 2 shakes, it's 320 calories when you consume those 2 shakes. A regular meal based on meat or chicken or rice and a bit of vegetables may have 800 calories if it's a normal plate, because it could have more. If we add that to the 320 calories, that's a total of 1,120 calories. That's why we say that a Herbalife program is approximately 1,200 calories. And any person who does it correctly will lose weight. But that's not the end of that. Any person who does any kind of diet and reduces the amount of food can get to 1,200 calories per day and lose weight, of course. But the nutritional value of their diet will be very poor. One of the big secrets of Herbalife is that in one single shake with 80 calories, they have achieved the combination of such nutrients that they would require a perfectly balanced meal of more than 1,500 calories to equal the nutritional value of a shake. If you want to accelerate the weight loss, it's recommended that you do the shake with water, which in our example would be 960 calories in one day. Now let's understand nutritionally how Herbalife works. As we heard earlier, 98% of the people do not ingest a proper diet, and besides, they are full of excesses and they have so many deficiencies. This imbalance between deficiencies and the excesses makes people start to develop what is commonly known as cravings, which is the increase in appetite in the hours when people shouldn't be having cravings, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the afternoon, or even at midnight. This increase in appetite is a physiologic answer of the body to cover the deficiency of nutrients. This increase in ingestion of food results in more excesses, more calories, and therefore, as a consequence, brings overweight. Being overweight, as we heard before, is not only an aesthetic problem. It also affects greatly world health. It is calculated that 12% of the world budget for health is spent on problems directly related to being overweight. Most people, when they are overweight, they get a little concerned, maybe because of their physical appearance or because of their health. And generally, they decide to start a diet. Almost always, they start on a Monday. And these diets consist, generally, on stopping eating a little bit every meal, or to making, instead of 3, 2 meals, or even 1 meal per day. Of course, that's a way to lose some weight, but what suffers is muscle protein and your health, but not eliminating the fat. Most people that do these diets of not eating in order to lose weight, they are weakening their immunological system. That's why they're more susceptible to diseases. And if they do diets of this kind constantly, the body will become refractive. It will resist losing weight because the diet becomes a kind of aggression to the body. Certainly, you know people who have done so many diets that now they cannot lose weight with any of them, and every time they do diets, they feel very bad. What Herbalife does is give you 100% of your nutrients that you need every day, and little by little, they are diminishing the cravings for food, covering those deficiencies. And the consequence is that the person is going to regulate their appetite, and they're going to start eating normally. Meaning that covering the deficiencies, the cravings are eliminated, and the person eats normally. And because they're substituting food for low-calorie shakes, they lose weight quickly, and instead of weakening their system, they strengthen it. Let's go over the nutrients that the body needs and in what products they are found. The body needs protein. These are the ones that form muscles, hair, the antibodies, the skin, everything that protects us from the aggressions. We also need carbohydrates or sugars, which generate quick energy. We also need fats, especially the one we call non-saturated, which is the good fat that's good for the body. It doesn't obstruct the arteries. We also need minerals, vitamins, oligoelements, fiber, botanical factors or phytonutrients, and a lot of water. If we talk about the basic products of Herbalife, which are the shakes, multivitamins, and cell activator, fiber, thermobond or lipobond, thermogenics and guarana, herbal aloe, and plain protein, we can say that the shake contains soy protein of the very high quality, a little bit of fructose, which is a carbohydrate that does not generate insulin replies, a bit of non-saturated fat, vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients or herbs. The protein powder, increases the amount of soy protein. Multivitamin and the cell activator contain all of the oligoelements and micronutrients that we need every day. The fiber and the thermobond contain different kinds of fiber from oats and apple. Thermogenics and guarana give us liquid with a lot of botanical factors, antioxidants, and energetics. And aloe has wonderful properties for the immune system. Later, we will talk about each one of the products. How do we take the product? Very simple. The Herbalife tablets, any kind that they are designed for 1 month of use, and they are taken from 1 to 3 times per day. There are different nutrients, like vitamins, which are absorbed easier in small doses several times a day. In each region, Herbalife has the products that the population needs the most. This training is not trying to give you details on each one of them because that's what we have the catalog for, the one inside your kit, as well as your local trainings. For now, learn this simple rule. Like all the tablets are formulated for 1 month of use, a product with 30 tablets then has a dose of 1 tablet per day. If it has 60 tablets, then it's 2 per day. If it has 90 tablets, then 3 per day. If it has 120 tablets, then 4 per day. If it's 180 tablets, then 6 per day, and so on. As far as the shake, in order to lose weight, you do it twice a day, replacing 2 of your 3 meals. For example, you can have breakfast and dinner with the shake, and you can have regular food for your lunch. But you can also vary and have breakfast and lunch with the shake and have a dinner with regular food. When we talk about a regular meal, we are talking exactly about that, normal. This means that you can eat any kind of food, but in reasonable amounts, meaning moderate. A trick to accelerate your weight loss is to give preference to eating protein over carbohydrates. And we will talk about that later too. In order to maintain weight, we take the tablets every day, and the nutritional shake is done once per day. I have been doing the maintenance program for 13 years and a bit more. I have for breakfast every morning my nutritional shake with water, and my lunch and dinner are normal. The maintenance program has to be done by any person who wishes to improve their health, and all of those who have done the weight loss program, they also should do the maintenance of 2 to 4 months in order to avoid the bouncing effect, which we will talk about later as well, when we talk about sales. Another trick to always be in good shape is to do 2 shakes and a meal for several days after having had some excess. It happens that during weekends, parties, vacations, Christmas, and other reasons, we may get to consume large quantities of calories at once. And the only way to correct this is to reduce the calories during the following days. And the simplest way is with the shakes. Let me give you an example. In one single day, a person can ingest up to 5,000 calories eating pizza, sweets, sodas, beer, and other things. Those calories get accumulated, and on the following day, if the person consumes the 1,700 calories they need, they have not eliminated the more than 3,000 they ate and drank the day before. You need several days of consuming 1,200 calories in order to eliminate the excess of that one day. That's why the shake sells so well, because it's a solution for those who have some excesses. You can also increase muscle mass with Herbalife. You do the 3 meals every day, and after every meal, you take the tablets and the nutritional shake. This makes the person increase their muscle fiber, and it's not fat. Going back to the maintenance program, Every person who has done the weight loss program, they need to get accustomed to their new weight. If a person takes away from their body 10 to 15 kilos in 2 or 3 months, the body will not get used immediately to the new weight. You have to do a maintenance program in order to ensure that the person will maintain their weight and will not recover what they have lost. For example, if it took 3 months to lose 10 kilos, you have to do 3 months again of the maintenance program. And then afterwards, they can leave it. But every person who wants to improve their health and feel better, and who want to eat a balanced meal once per day instead of junk food, they can do the maintenance program habitually and be part of the group of people who intelligently have taken care of their health. This is a very important concept that you have to remember, because as we saw earlier, there's no food out here today that gives the body the nutrition it needs. And to complement our diet with the shake and the tablets is an action that is in favor of your health. In each one of the countries where Herbalife operates, they have put together a guide that explains in detail all of the products that are available in that country. Make sure you read it in order to be well informed. Or come to my webpage, www.guillermoluna.info. You can find there up-to-date product guides. Let's continue. How do we prepare the nutritional shake? It's very important for the customer to understand this very well, because one mistake in the preparation can lead to a non-desired result, because the shake can help you lose, maintain, or gain weight. And it's prepared in the following manner. First, you have to shake the bottle before opening it. Then in 8 ounces of liquid, which is a standard-sized glass, you add 2 heaping spoons of the nutritional shake. No problem in adding a little bit more of powder. You can add 3, 4, or 5 teaspoons of the shake, and 1 or 2 protein powder in it as well. It's recommended that you do it with water. Liquid, yogurt, water with pieces of fruit, or lean milk, if the person can drink milk. However, the best liquid to make the shake is the water, because that way we avoid adding calories with milk or fruit juices. You can also make the shake half juice, half water, half lean milk, half water. You have to mix it in the blender, not with a spoon in a glass. And you can also add ice cubes. With the milk, you have to have the following consideration. 40% of adults cannot digest milk properly because of the absence of an enzyme called lactase. This means that of every 10 people, 4 of them will have a problem with digestion when they drink milk. The symptoms of lactose intolerance or milk, they can be acidity, feeling full, nausea, constipation, and even diarrhea. Remember that many people associate with the shake with a milkshake. And if you don't ask them about the milk beforehand, and the person is intolerant, on the 3rd or the 4th shake, they're going to have those problems because of the milk. And they will erroneously think that it's a product. We tell our clients that they should take it with water, and very seldom with fruit or with lean milk. As we saw earlier, the program has all of the nutrients except for one, the water. That's why we recommend 2 liters of water with the program, which corresponds to approximately 8 glasses. We tell the customers to take the tablets about 15 minutes before the shake, or before the meal with 2 glasses of water, or with a guarana tea, or thermal or aloe. Then, in the middle of the day, and in the middle of the afternoon, to take a drink of water, tea, or aloe. And we do it like that because most people don't like to drink water, and they can take the tablets with half a glass of water. One question that people ask very often is, what happens if they forget taking the tablets? You have to tell them that they should try to avoid that happening, but in the case it does, they should take them as soon as they remember. It is extremely important for them to take the right number of tablets during the day. For how long should we take the product? That's a question that's often among customers and among new distributors. We have to understand this very well. Herbalife is not a treatment to lose weight. It is food, high-technology food. Up until now, it is the most advanced technological food available, and as we said earlier, in a few years, everybody is going to complement their nutrition with programs like Herbalife. Herbalife will always do the best to be at the cutting edge. Make sure that you understand that. That's why the question about how long to take the product for is as if somebody asked you, for how long would you like to eat the best food in the world? You decide. But remember that the health is not a game, and it's very smart to prevent health deterioration, particularly if it's so cheap and if it's so pleasant. It's more economical to take Herbalife than to have a coronary bypass or to buy medication for hypertension for the rest of your life, or develop osteoporosis or arthritis, all of that because you're not eating properly and because you're not concerned about that from right now. In our family, just as an example, it is so normal that one of the meals is a shake. It's such an everyday thing for the children to take a shake in the morning or as a snack that the products are now an intimate part of our life. And the results are obvious. Everybody, all of us have better health than when we didn't take Herbalife. But the most notable change is seen in the physical development of the children. It's impressive after several years of good nutrition. We have every time more and more customers who understand the importance of nutrition and who buy the program every month or every 2 months. Most of them take it every day, regularly in the morning. But many, when they have excess because of parties or birthdays or something, they do twice a day for a few days. Housewives, when they don't want to cook, they prepare a shake for the whole family, and no more problem. We also see that every time more and more people, because of their job, eat outside of their home and they prefer to take the shake with them and prepare it somewhere at work, or eat one of the snacks that Herbalife makes instead of spending money on fast food. And when they get home at night, then they eat calmly with the rest of the family. Because of all of these reasons, many customers end up being distributors in order to obtain their 25% discount. We will talk about this more in depth when we talk about follow-up. In the next few minutes, we would like to detail some of the questions that are most common that people ask during a training about the products. This will serve you not only for your customers, but also for when you train your group, which we hope will be very soon. Question: who can and who cannot take the products? For this, there is a rule that is very valid, even though it's very simple. Any person who can eat natural food can take the Herbalife products, because they are nutritional products formulated with high technology. But people sometimes insist in the question, because their aunt has this or that disease, or because they have hypertension or high cholesterol, gastritis, thyroids, or who knows what else. With the following questions, you can find out if the person eats all kinds of things and therefore can take Herbalife. Ask them whether they can eat fish, chicken, salads, fruits. If they say yes to any of those questions you've asked, it doesn't matter what the disease is. Listen to this very well. It doesn't matter what the disease is, they can take the products. There will be customers who say, but I can't eat chemicals, or I can't eat red meats, or I can't eat fat, or I can't eat flour because they give them a high fiber diet and low calories, vegetables, fruit, etc. Perfect. Exactly. That's Herbalife. A very fun question that will give you the answer immediately. This is what we, as a joke, call the hamburger test. If your customer has had one hamburger ever in their life and didn't die, then they're not going to have any problem with Herbalife products. Another question they ask very often is whether the children can take Herbalife. Of course they can. It is highly recommended that they do. The only consideration is that children, because they are in growth, they shouldn't do the weight loss program, meaning they shouldn't be replacing 2 meals a day for a shake. Children should take the shake as something added to the meals every day. There are some general rules here for children. Before the 4 to 6 months, they're going to take it through the mother's milk. From 6 months to 2 years, you can add half a teaspoon of shake powder in a bottle and give it to them once or twice per day. This means that the child can take their milk the way the pediatrician indicated, plus you add half a teaspoon of shake powder. From 2 to 4 years, you add 1 teaspoon in a glass of milk and you give it to them twice a day. From 4 to 8 years, you add 1 teaspoon and a half in a glass of milk and you give it to them twice per day. And from 8 to 12 years of age, you add 2 teaspoons in a glass of milk and you give it to them twice a day. Now, don't worry too much about the dosage of the shake, because in our home, everybody takes the same shake in the morning without worrying about the age. We prepare 2 blenders with everybody and that's it. The other question that's very common is whether pregnant women or lactating women can ingest the product. Certainly, they can. After the first month of giving birth, the woman can do the weight loss regimen. In the first month, she has to do the maintenance. Pregnant women cannot go through a weight loss program, but only the maintenance program, with 1 shake per day, preferably in the morning or at night, taking the tablets 3 times per day. Taking cellular nutrition benefits the development of the pregnancy, notably, and also keeps the woman from getting too fat. Another point that's important is that some women, at the end of their pregnancy, they have some stomach upset and they don't feel like eating. In these cases, instead of not eating, the shake is a solution because it's digested very easily. Another question that they ask is whether sick people can take the products. As we said earlier, if the person, whatever their type of disease, can eat any kind of food that's natural, they can take with complete trust the Herbalife program. But you have to take into account that when people are ingesting medication, they must follow everything and keep taking the medication unless the doctor tells them to stop. Some customers, if you don't tell them this, they may decide to stop taking the medications of a treatment because they think that Herbalife, because it's natural, is going to replace them. Just because they're ingesting the Herbalife products, you should stop taking your medication. Now, as you get more customers, you will notice the power of improving the health of these products. We have hundreds of customers, friends and relatives who, thanks to controlling their weight and taking the products regularly, their doctors have told them to diminish or even eliminate the dosage of some of their medications. And when customers, when they talk to you, when they tell you that, a great satisfaction is felt, which is worth much more than the money that you might have made from the sale. Another question that's ever more often asked is whether diabetics can take the products. Of course they can. But diabetics are one of those few people who cannot eat any kind of food because they have problems with sugar. That's why you have to have certain considerations toward them. If they are insulin-dependent diabetics, meaning if they inject insulin every day, they have to take the product to their doctor or talk to a Herbalife doctor in order to adjust the calories. These diabetics eat up to 7 times per day, and therefore they cannot be taking the product in the traditional way of 2 shakes and 1 meal a day. But they can take several shakes a day as a complement to their nutrition. Those who do not inject insulin, which are the majority, they are called non-insulin dependent, which is called adult onset diabetes. They can take it in the following way. If they are not overweight, they should do the maintenance. And if they must lose weight, They should do 3 to 4 shakes with water and 2 light meals with very little carbohydrates. If they take medication, they should be told that once they have lost more than 10% of their weight, they should go to the doctor to get an adjustment of their dosage of their medication. This is incredibly beneficial for the diabetic because they will save money and they will feel better. There are countless customers who have controlled their diabetes and who have diminished or eliminated the medication and even the insulin, thanks to the nutrition and to the weight loss achieved with Herbalife. In big events, we always have testimonials of diabetics. Talk to them personally so they can tell you the results. Another question is about people who suffer from heart conditions, hypertension, arrhythmia, varicose veins, cholesterol, triglycerides, and circulatory problems. Well, all of the doctors recommend that any patient who suffers from these diseases, that he or she should ingest a low-salt diet rich in fiber and vitamins and minerals with vegetable protein that's high in non-saturated fat and with no cholesterol. And all of these characteristics are in the Herbalife products. That's why it's practically necessary for the person who has cardiovascular disease to take the Herbalife program. Likewise, for all of those who have high cholesterol and triglycerides. Now let's talk about a very important aspect which you should know how to handle as a distributor. About Herbalife, and as happens with everything in life, there are opinions. The easiest and the cheapest thing in this life is to have an opinion about something. As Jim Rohn says, opinions are free. They have negatives and they have positive opinions. You will hear people who say that thanks to the Herbalife products, they got cured from cancer or hypertension, or etc. This is not because of Herbalife, but it's a consequence of the good nutrition that Herbalife gives. But you can also hear opinions that are negative about the products. You will find people who will tell you crazy things, such as their aunt or the friend of the cousin of the boyfriend's neighbor took the product and became blind, or they had a third ear come out, or became paralyzed or impotent or died. And they will tell you with such assurance that you might believe them. With those people, you don't have to fight. You just have to make them understand in a logical way and in a gentle way that they are simply repeating a rumor which somebody told them, and that they are misinformed. In a very good way, you can tell them what we say are the facts of the company. These facts are that Herbalife is a company with more than 26 years of experience in the international market. It has scientific support that's incredible. It's a product that's sold freely in more than 60 countries, and then you can mention some of the countries. That the product not only complies with all the regulations, which are the strictest in the world, of the FDA, which is the health ministry in the United States, but then they are checked for approval of free sale in every one of the health ministries in different countries where Herbalife is sold. And you remind them that no government will allow the sale of a product that's bad for their population. Besides, Herbalife is a public company that's exchanged in the New York Stock Exchange since years ago, and it's a very well-established company. Besides, in the labels of the products, there is nothing, there's no warning about side effects. There are now more than 45 million customers who have been documented. Also, the products comply with 2 international laws, which are the following. Make a note of this, because this is going to be very helpful to defend your position about the product when somebody has a negative opinion. Number 1, the mega dosage law and the labeling law. The labeling law, which is international, says that everything that's contained in a product must be specified on the label, and if the product has some kind of counterindication, the warning has to be on the label. Herbalife complies with this law, and besides, there are no counterindications. The second is the mega dosage law, which says that if a person ingests a large amount of Herbalife, will not have any consequence. For example, if somebody takes the whole jar of fiber tablets at once, they're not going to have any major consequence. The only thing is that for several days, they will have to go to the bathroom. To take a lot of Herbalife product is like eating a lot of natural and balanced food. Another important fact is that Herbalife does open events open to the whole public where customers and distributors tell their testimonials. Besides, Herbalife has a page on the internet with information that's very specific about the product, testimonials, and many other things. And the address is www.herbalife.com. This is for the public. And for distributors, it's www.myherbalife.com. myherbalife.com. You can also enter in www.herbalifecentral.com. I would suggest now that you should go to this portal, myherbalife.com, and see your Herbalife account. If you still don't have your access PIN for Herbalife, you should send an email or you should call the Department of Relations with Distributors in your country, and it will generate a PIN code so that you can see immediately your Herbalife account in the internet system. But even if you think this is curious, most people who might give you negative comments about Herbalife, they do it just to test your knowledge and to make sure that if they buy the product through you, that they will obtain good results. That's why it's a must for you to always know your result and tell your result with the product, and also customers and friends' results. With people like that, I tell them that I have been taking the product for 13 years, that my whole family takes it with excellent results, and almost always I have my photo album with before and after pictures. That gives them trust, anybody, because they can see it in your eyes. It's also very important to learn testimonials from other people who have specific problems, like thyroids, diabetes, hypertension, and others, in order for you to tell the people with those same problems so that they can feel identified with them. Look at this example. If your aunt has a thyroid problem, and we all have an aunt with a thyroid problem, if she lost weight with Herbalife, every time you find a future customer with a thyroid problem, you can tell them, you know what, my aunt lost weight having the same disease that you have. And with that, it's going to be enough for the person to have trust in the products. People only want to have assurance that this product will actually do well and that it's worth it to invest the money. And that depends on the trust that you transmit when you talk to them. That's why I insist so much on developing your own results and knowing stories from other people, because a story is not debatable. Another point that we teach our customers and distributors is to feel proud of your results. It doesn't matter how small it might be. Every kilo that you might gain or lose is very valuable, very important, and you have to be just as proud if it's 2, 5, 10, or 50 kilos. Some people compare their testimonials with others, and they feel inferior because some people have lost 60 or 80 kilos with Herbalife. It's very important to recognize to our customers and to be convinced that our testimonial is very valuable. Small results are more important than the big ones, because there are more people who want to lose 3 to 5 kilos than people who want to lose 30 kilos. As a final point about opinions, we have the following. Our product, from the standpoint of marketing, means a big competition, just to name a few, for other natural products, or medications for weight loss, or nutritionists and doctors who work with overweight patients who use obsolete techniques, and that's why they feel very afraid of losing their customers, especially when Herbalife enters for the first time a new country. Unfortunately, professional ethics is not very respected in some countries, and many of those rumors, which sometimes people repeat, are nothing but a strategy from other companies or individuals to try to discredit Herbalife. The weight loss market, wellness, and personal care market is a very changing and lucrative market, and the market war is part of it. But every time more and more people know that Herbalife is the best natural product in the world and that nothing else will top it. And even though there have been some attacks in some countries, every time the public at large ends up accepting that it was just a rumor without any base. You will also see people who will tell you that their doctor told them that they shouldn't take these products because of this or that reason. I am a doctor, and that's why I can tell you with full knowledge of the case. If there's one thing doctors don't know about, it's nutrition and food technology. A doctor who's responsible, the most he can tell you is that it's a product he doesn't know, and that he would like to see the components to give his opinion. With just looking at the labels is enough to notice the quality of these products. But there will always be an irresponsible doctor who, facing the fear of not knowing what to say, he will say in a very arrogant way, "I advise to you, do not take those products." But it's part of the market. And some doctors are mediocre in updating their knowledge. And it would be easier for them to give an opinion than to update themselves and admit that they don't know about this. In our organization, there's more than 200 doctors who are supervisors. And every time more and more professionals in the healthcare join Herbalife, doctors, dentists, kinesiologists, and nurses. A trick to reply to somebody who tells you the doctor has forbidden them from taking Herbalife is to tell them to please ask the doctor to put it in writing, notarized, in a prescription in which it says his name and his registration numbers as a doctor, and that we are going to take that to the legal department of Herbalife, and that he has to assume the consequences of his statements. You would be surprised with what happens after that. Nothing. No doctor will risk putting in writing something with no base. We have talked about all these things so that you know how to defend your business and how to quickly teach your distributors to do the same thing. When Mark Hughes started in 1980, he did not have any credibility. And today, the scientific community in the world, the European governments, the Congress of the United States, and many specialized magazines constantly are recognizing Herbalife. So much so that in 1997, Mark Hughes was elected as the Businessman of the Year in the United States. And in the year 2004, the Businesswoman of the Year in the United States was Susan Peterson, who is Chairman's Club with Herbalife. By the way, one of the things in which Mark always insisted during the events is that we all have to take the product in a professional way in order to have a visible result and to show with our example the benefits of a good nutrition. He said that the customers take the product in a very measured way so that they don't run out, and that distributors should take it abundantly. That way, they'll have more results and their group will do the same. And that starts with your home. If you take the product in all of your meals in your home, if you're always prepared with your teas and your tablets and your aloe, etc., your family, sooner or later, will notice the big difference between your health and theirs. One has to always try to be the biggest example in front of other people, especially those people who don't believe, and there's always one of those at home. I don't know why. I also would like to comment the importance of knowing how to tell your result or testimonial to somebody. Sometimes when you speak too much and when you're not precise in the result, it makes the person who listens to not be convinced. It's very simple. For example, in an opportunity meeting, we call those HOM. You give your name and in how long you lost so many kilos. For example, my name is Guillermo Luna. I have lost 6 kilos. The other person would say like this, my name is X, and I couldn't lose weight with anything, and my self-esteem was very low. I did all kinds of diets. I would get sick, and thanks to this product, in the first week I lost 3 kilos, and in a month and a half I lost 8 kilos. I insist that this whole explanation, which is so extensive about the nutrition, has the only goal of informing you as a distributor. All of this information is not necessary to sell the products. It sounds a little bit illogical, but along your career in Herbalife, you will see people who are successful, who don't even know what a deficiency is or an excess, but they're so convinced of the products that everybody buys from them. And you will see the other extreme. The guy who knows a lot about nutrition, but who doesn't have success because in the depth of him, he's not that convinced. Now, if you can combine knowledge with conviction, you will go straight to success. Take into account the customers want to know whether the product works, how many kilos they can lose, how much it costs, and whether it's safe. If you're convinced, just with your attitude, you will give them the trust that it's worth buying from you. Ending of audio 1 of 7. We continue with audio number 2.